Welcome back. So in this video I'm going to be talking about how to tell if your altar has been trespassed upon or spiritually burglarized, if there's any type of energetic theft going on, because I wanted to answer this lady's question, or this woman's question. She said, how can you tell when your altar has been trespassed or burglarized? And the reason that she said that is because that's the language that I used in my post, because I compared the altar to a home, because essentially that is your spirit's house, whether it's a Bolvada or whether it's a different type of ancestral altar, an altar to Hecate, Aphrodite, Persephone, like Aloha. That's your spirit's house, right? And that's where they reside a lot of the time. And if you're like me, your spirits do kind of wander around and wander about. Like, I'll see them upstairs sometimes, I'll see them outside, but that's kind of where they go to rest and hang out. And also, it's where we sit to communicate with them. And so it's very important to protect it, and I will make a separate video on that. But I wanted to talk primarily about this and how to tell if something that's not supposed to be there has slipped in. And when we say trespass, essentially what that means is a lower level entity that was not invited has come in. And the way that you can tell with this especially is if you have a glass of water on the altar, it's going to get cloudy very quickly. And it's also a lot of times going to develop like this nasty like film almost, and this is assuming like your house is clean, there's no dust floating around, you clean your house regularly. That's how you know it's a spiritual issue, right? It'll have like this nasty film in it. It won't be clear. Okay? My altar is so protected that water stays clear for a week. Very rarely do I have to change their water before the 7 days. And even when it is a little bit cloudy, it's just a little bit. And that could have been for me having a bad day when I was in front of the altar. Maybe I cleansed a client and I picked up something. But my point is I have it so protected that it's very minimal. But one of the signs that something has come in is the altar or the water is going to be very cloudy very quickly. Another thing is you'll kind of feel disconnected from it. You won't want to do your prayers, you won't want to do your rituals, you just kind of have this weird aversion to the altar, and you don't know why. That is that lower level spirit basically pushing you away from your altar. Another way this can manifest is if you sit down to pray, like let's say you're sitting at your Bible to do your prayers for that morning, you keep getting distracted. I know for me, in my early days, when I would sit down to do my prayers and it was not properly protected, it was like clockwork. Everybody would start calling me. Everybody would start texting me. And so now what I do to prevent that is I put my phone on Do Not Disturb when I go do my spiritual stuff, because it can wait. And the people that need to get through because they're an emergency contact or something, I have the settings on my phone so that if they call me, it pushes past that setting and they're able to contact me if it's an emergency. Okay? And they know to call me multiple times if it's an emergency. I have that boundary with people in my life. And I told them, like, look, if my phone's on D&D, I'm doing something very important. But if it's an emergency, you call me twice and I'll pick up. And my spirits know that, you know, but that's for a certain group of people. You'll just feel off, you won't want to do your prayers. Things breaking on the altar. Again, going back to my early days, I couldn't keep a St. Michael statue intact to save my life. I can't even tell you guys how many I went through. Because it just kept taking hits because people were throwing witchcraft at me. I was new to all of this. I was not properly protected. This was before my initiation into Bible, when I just had my Bolvada. Those statues would break so quick. And what's ironic is the woman that was attacking me and leading other women to attack me, was very much into Lilith, very much into demons. And y'all know how Archangel Michael was known as like the slayer of demons? His statues were literally absorbing those demonic attacks. So it's important to cleanse your statues regularly, cleanse your tools regularly. You know, it's always good to, a few times a year, wash down your statues with like some rosemary, some rue, some basil, some oregano, some mint. Like, give them a little spiritual bath. Cascarilla, spiritual clones, just to freshen up the statue and make sure that it's protected and that true essence of that good spirit is able to reside within it. Because the statues are also their home. That's where they live. That's why we consecrate our statues, right? What else? I guess now we'll get into like the burglary part, the stealing of energy when you put out offerings. If things go bad very quickly, like let's say that you put out an orange, right? And you put an orange on your boveda. Some people like to feed their spirits with their boveda. Some people like to do it outside or somewhere else. I do both, and I have done both. Me personally, because I fed them with the boveda for such a long time, I've noticed that they're quicker to absorb the energy at the boveda as opposed to outside, because that boveda has a lot more spiritual energy than my altar outside because it's newer. So my spirits personally prefer getting offerings at the boveda. Some people don't agree with it. It's how I was taught originally. I'm sticking to it. But anyway, I'm talking like within 24 hours, that piece of fruit gets moldy. Or it starts to rot. Same thing if you give them a plate of food. If it starts to just get unreasonably funky. If you give them a cup of coffee, in 24 hours it's got nasty mold growing on it. And you don't have mold in your house like that. Something very bad is trying to get a hold of those offerings. Okay. I do offer amulets on my website at sirensnectar.com that you can purchase, that you can put on your altar. All that I ask is, if you're going to purchase that, tell me in the notes at checkout what type of altar it's for, so that I know how to prepare it. Okay? I am a spiritualist. I'm a spiritist. So I have a lot of knowledge when it comes to different types of spirits and different energies and stuff like that. But if it's to protect a Hecate altar, I'm going to prepare it differently than if I'm preparing it for a boveda or for an ancestral altar. Okay. That's available at sirensnectar.com. I believe they are $277. Afterpay is available, and each of my amulets are prepared and ritualized for 21 days. That's one reason for the price. And they're all unique. They're all custom made. I make them for your specific situation. I also offer them for love and glamour, evil eye protection, protection in the workplace, car protection, home protection, altar protection, whatever you need. Okay? But those are some ways to tell if something low level has slipped into your space. Okay? If you have any questions, just comment down below. And if you would like to book a reading or a different type of spiritual session with me, you can go to sirensnectar.com/booking or message me here on Instagram. Okay? I love you guys. Thank you.